I started my fitness journey kind of crazy by jumping into the world of competitive bodybuilding. If you're not familiar, bodybuilding has multiple divisions, each of which involve a slightly different aesthetic. Bikini is arguably the least muscular of the women's divisions, and so this is where I started. What's up? Hey, so fun fact about me, I competed in bikini for 3 and a bit years, and despite what you may have heard about bodybuilding, this was actually one of the most positive parts of my fitness journey. During that time, I went through several cycles of bulking and cutting, gaining and losing, changing and optimizing my body in various ways. I learned so much about myself, about my body, about fitness during that time, but for the purpose of today's video, I thought it would be fun to go back to my last competition season and recreate a day in the life 4 weeks out from competition of diet and training, explaining how this compares to my current routine, what's changed, as well as just give you a look into this part of my fitness journey that I haven't talked much about on here. Before we get into it, I want to say a huge thank you to Golden Ratio Coffee for partnering with me on today's video. They're a low acidity, gut-friendly coffee that is perfect if you struggle with bloating like me. We'll talk more about it later on in this video. For now, I'll put a code in the description box down below to save 15% off your first month's supply. Feeling prickly this morning. I set my alarm for 5 a.m. I snoozed my alarm till 7 a.m. I have become a bit of a night owl recently. I am hungry, I am sleepy, I am grumpy, but the plan says that we have 40 minutes of fasted cardio, so that's what we're gonna do. What this means is that before I eat anything, I have to get 40 minutes of activity. The logic behind this is that by not having any carbs or more readily available fuel sources in your system, your body will be forced to use fat for fuel, thereby burning fat, helping with fat loss. The science behind this is shaky at best, with most studies seeing no significant differences in fat loss comparing fed versus fasted cardio. I will say a non-scientific benefit of fasted cardio is that when you are moving, you are not eating. While my calories didn't get too low during this prep, in general, the lower your body fat gets or the more time sensitive your fat loss goals, the lower your calories go. One of my saving graces during this time was coffee. Calories are energy, caffeine reduces fatigue. So when you are low calorie and as a result low energy, caffeine can help mitigate these changes that are going on in your body. Today I am sipping on Golden Ratio coffee, which is a low acid, gut friendly alternative to traditional coffee. Basically, they roast their beans at a lower temperature, resulting in a smoother coffee that is, hopefully as you can see, golden in color and 5 times less acidic as compared to regular coffee. So if you're familiar with light, medium, or dark roast, all of these are roasted into or beyond the point of what's called the first crack of the coffee bean. So if you think of like popping popcorn, when that first kernel kind of bursts through its shell, as you continue heating coffee beans beyond this point, there are changes that occur in the flavor profile that make it more bitter, that make it more acidic. Whereas with golden coffee, because it's roasted at a low temperature, you're gonna end up with a much smoother tasting coffee that ends up somewhere between a white and a blonde roast. The best part is this packs just as much caffeine as regular coffee. So whether you're fasting, you're doing fasted cardio, you have a sensitive gut, you struggle with bloating, you have an upset stomach, when you have coffee on an empty stomach, whatever you got going on, much gentler option. Golden Ratio also comes in these cute little packages that are plastic free, made from organic cotton, no synthetic dyes or materials. They're perfect for packing on the go if you're trying to portion control your caffeine. So if you want to try Golden Ratio for yourself, I will put a link in the description box down below, as well as a code to save 15% off your first order. I am gonna finish my coffee. I'm probably going to make another cup because I really need some energy. Then I'll check in with you when it's time for cardio. Okay, bit of insight into the cardio workout and more cardio you're about to see today. At the time, the biggest piece of feedback judges were giving me was that I needed to bring my legs down. Now, bodybuilding is a visual hobby. It doesn't matter how you feel about your body, it matters how the judges feel. And they felt that my thighs needed to be smaller, my glutes needed to be more conditioned, we had to tighten up that butt-thigh area. The bikini division gets a lot of flack for not being as hardcore, but this piece of feedback alone was the bane of my existence. Spot reduction isn't possible, but oftentimes you won't lose fat uniformly, which means spot reduction can happen, but you can't control it. Instead, it will depend on hormones, genetics, how and where you store fat, etc. More muscular divisions of bodybuilding often get the feedback of bring this up while losing fat overall, while bikini gets the feedback of bring this down while holding everything else the same. The body doesn't work like that. You can spot improve muscle, you can't spot remove fat. So you get into this fun limbo zone of trying to lose fat, lose leg muscle, hold on to glute muscle, and also hold on to muscle everywhere else. This is why today you will see me doing so much cardio, specifically running, arguably one of the worst forms of cardio for maintaining muscle
muscle in your thighs, but one of the best forms of cardio if you're looking to lose size in your thighs.
Hello, we made it, just barely. We got just over 4.5 miles for our 40-minute fasted cardio. My eyes are burning from the sweat. It is incredibly hot. It is incredibly humid. I don't know if it's possible for it to be over 100% humidity, but it definitely feels like it. So we're gonna head back, I'm gonna get showered, we're gonna get some breakfast, and I will check in with you then.
All right, meal one of the day, we are having a 1/3 cup of oats, 2 whole eggs, as well as 2 cups of spinach. Now, during this prep, and note when I say prep, I generally mean the 16-week period going into a bodybuilding competition where I would gradually lose fat, lean out, so that presumably in time for that competition, I would be stage ready. During this prep, I was following a meal plan. So what this means is that I wasn't intentionally tracking calories or macros. As long as I stuck to the meal plan, my coaches would adapt that week to week to ensure I was meeting my calorie needs as they saw fit in order to get lean. Different preps were different. There were other preps where I followed more of a flexible dieting approach. I did more of my own nutrition. Other preps I did meal plans, everything in between. This prep was a meal plan. Now I will say at face value, very bland and boring. I mean, what the heck are you gonna do with a 1/3 cup of oats, 2 whole eggs, and some spinach? My instinct says just kind of separate them all out on the plate. Typically during this prep, I just blend them all together and make it into a pancake and then top it with 0-calorie syrup because my sweets cravings were out of control. But today I wanted to try something different. I've never made a savory oat before, so I figured we'd try it out. We'll see how it goes. It actually looks and smells pretty good. All I did was boil some rolled oats, chop spinach, saute that, mix it with the oats, fry 2 eggs, and then top it all with little green onions. The rolled oats almost get like a bit of a risotto, especially once you've added in the salt and the spinach and the green onions. It definitely helped bring the flavor together, and I forgot to mention, I cooked the rolled oats in a bone broth, so it gave it a little bit more depth, if you will. That right there. Now we're talking a little bit of the yolk mixed with a little bit of the rolled oats. Quick little grocery shop to pick up some ingredients for remaining meals of the day. I also pulled some foods out of my fridge, out of my pantry to give you an idea of what I'd eat in a typical bikini prep. So I've broken our grocery haul out into the main macronutrients. Macronutrients are just the nutrients that your body requires in the largest amounts. So we've got our proteins, our carbs, as well as some veggies here, as well as our fats. So in terms of protein, what we got going on are liquid egg whites, ground chicken, chicken breast, tilapia, which I know what you're gonna say, tilapia is a bottom feeding fish. Ew, you're disgusting, I can't believe you're eating that. Look, I ate it at the time, we gotta keep it accurate for the video. Moving over to our carbs and veggies. Veggies, fruits, these are technically subtypes of carbs. I just say that fruits and veggies tend to be a little bit more fiber rich, micronutrient dense, but in terms of what we got going on here, my main carb sources during a prep would be some form of oats, whether that's rolled oats like what we had this morning, quick oats or steel cut oats. I like quick oats because you can just microwave them. They're really quick. They're a really versatile ingredient. Sweet potatoes, those are delicious. So many things you can do with them, as well as white rice. I would say that out of these 3, what I eat most often now, like outside of this video we're recording today, is white rice. I live for white rice. In terms of veggies, the meal plan often will call for not necessarily a specific green veggie, but just like 1 cup green veggies, 2 cups green veggies. Sometimes it specifies spinach, sometimes it specifies asparagus, but we do have a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm gonna use that wiggle room fully. We've got some frozen broccoli today. I would often swap this out for frozen green beans, frozen Brussels sprouts. We've got asparagus, which is not my fave, but moving on, we got a big old bag of spinach and kale, because why get just spinach when you can add in a little bit of kale? We got some zucchini, some cucumber, as well as green onions, which I kind of count those as more of like a condiment, something I'd put on top of my food. In terms of fats, we really don't have much going on here. We have the whole eggs, which of course the egg yolk has a bit of fat. And then the only other fat source we have are these almonds, which might seem a little bit weird considering how much protein we have, how many carbs we have, how many different veggies we have.
But of the macronutrients, fats are where you have the most wiggle room. Your carbohydrate and protein needs are directly tied to the level and type of activity you're doing. The higher intensity, the longer duration activity you're doing, the more carbs you need. Whereas if you're lifting really heavy weights, if you're breaking down your muscle, you want to build up or maintain your muscle, you've got to be getting protein. Of course, there's a base requirement for fat. Fats are still very important in your body for maintaining healthy hormone levels, doing a whole host of other things. So don't cut out fats entirely. But if you are eating a calorie deficit and you're looking for like, okay, where can I maybe cut some calories, make a little bit of room, it would probably be in your fats.
Right now I'm gonna do some meal prep because we have a busy day ahead, plus we still have a workout and cardio to get done. Controversial opinion, I actually like tilapia, so whenever it was programmed in my plan, I actually kind of looked forward to it. Say what you will, I think it tastes good. But part of the reason why might be because I do have a great seasoning recipe. It's a recipe for blackened tilapia, but I'm actually gonna prep the seasoning around both my tilapia and my chicken today. So what you'll need is some paprika, black pepper, salt, garlic powder. I know I told you not to buy it, I lied. Onion powder. I would normally use an Italian seasoning here. Today I'm using a combination of oregano and basil, as well as a sweetener of choice. I recommend the Truvia baking blend. It's a blend of stevia with a little bit of cane sugar. It just tastes a bit better, bakes a bit better, but use whatever you want. Then you will also need a large, wide base container to shake everything together. And like that, we have prepped pretty much everything else we'll need for the rest of our meals today. We've got some white rice that I boiled on the stovetop, some broccoli, zucchini, sweet potato, and asparagus that I did as part of a sheet pan bake in the oven, some ground chicken again on the stovetop, and then we've got our diced chicken breast and tilapia that we did in that lovely seasoning. Everybody's gonna prep in their own way. When I first got into bodybuilding, I would prep and portion all of my meals at the same time. So my fridge would just be stacks on stacks on stacks of Tupperware, and I just kind of take things out as I needed them, grab and go. But what I found was that my meals didn't end up so fresh. Things would get kind of soggy, they'd all mix together. When I reheated it, the flavor and texture didn't really hold up. So something I got into the habit of during my last prep, the one that we're recreating today, and actually a habit I've maintained till this day, is instead of prepping my meals, I prep my staples, right? Those foods that I know I'm gonna be eating either multiple times throughout the day, multiple times throughout the week. I prep them in bulk so I can combine them fresh, customize my meals however I want, and that way I can just refresh my prep as I need. For now, I gotta catch up on some meals. I am not used to eating 6 meals a day, so I gotta eat meal 2, then we'll probably like in an hour or so eat our pre-workout meal, get our workout done, and then we've got like 3 more meals. Really fun meal too, I swear this is peak bodybuilding. We've got 4 egg whites, 10 spears of asparagus. The main reason people eat liquid egg whites, I'm telling you right now, it's not for the flavor, it's mainly to save the calories from the fat in the egg yolk. I have been spoiled the past few years and I have not had egg white only omelets or scrambles. I'm telling you, this is not great from what I've tasted. I did add a little bit of dill weed as well as just like a sprank of salt to try to add any flavor to this. We'll see, we'll get through it. For now, I'm gonna check in with you when we get to our next meal. We are back with a snack. This is meal slash snack number 3 of the day. I know these servings aren't huge. It honestly feels like more of a snack serving, but we're having 6 meals. We can't have massive servings at every meal. So this will be my pre-workout meal, and I'm actually so excited to dig in. This chicken smells amazing. Jeff and I were saying it looks like it's coated in hot Cheetos, which it's not. It's that seasoning blend we made. But if you've ever tried chicken with hot Cheetos, let me know in the comments down below. We've got 3 ounces of chicken, 3 ounces of sweet potato, 1 cup of greens. The plan let me choose, so I decided to go with some broccoli and zucchini. The zucchini was green before we baked it. And then on the side, slash for dipping my sweet potato, I have this low sugar ketchup. It's 5 calories per tablespoon, which is about 1/4 of the calories of a regular full sugar ketchup. So I'm gonna have a little bit of that, eat this up, and then we're gonna get on with our workout. Workout time. We have just arrived at our outdoor workout spot because, as a reminder, gyms are still closed in Canada.
At the time that I was in this prep, I was going to a commercial gym, so I had access to Smith machines, cable towers, like every machine, dumbbell, barbell you could want. Today we'll be training with just dumbbells and a mat. So I've had to substitute some exercises, but I did my best to choose things that were similar, that allow us to maintain a similar intensity, because that was really the focus for me. Like today we're training glutes. My big focus at the time was to shrink my thighs while holding onto size through the glutes and improving definition between the butt and thigh area. So today's workout will really focus on getting a good booty pump, not a lot going on through the quads and thighs, bringing the intensity, burning those calories. For context, during this prep, I was lifting weights 6 times per week following a body part split, whereas now I do full body training. I was doing cardio twice per day, 40 minutes fasted in the morning, 30 to 60 minutes in the evening, a lot more running than I'm currently doing, even though I now consider myself more of a runner. It was extreme, but losing size in your thighs is not easy. People talk about how hard it is to build muscle. Try losing years of muscle history. Very tricky. I actually made a video about the strategy that worked for me to shrink my thighs while keeping my booty that I'll link somewhere up above or down below. But basically it involved a combination of things that went directly against the standard advice for muscle building. Eat less calories, lift less weight, don't allow enough time for recovery, and do all the cardio. I fell a little behind on meals. I'm not used to eating this many times per day, so I ended up combining my post-workout meal 5 with meal 6. What this worked out to was meal 5 had 4 ounces of chicken, a half cup of white rice, 1 cup of green veggies, so I combined some asparagus and zucchini, plus meal 6, which had 5 ounces of white fish, half cup of white rice, and another cup of green veggies. As compared to how I now eat, this is way more meals, way smaller servings, but is not completely out of the norm for bodybuilding. With most bodybuilding plans, you can expect to eat anywhere from 6 to 8 meals per day, sometimes more. I wasn't doing my own nutrition programming at the time, so I have to assume that the logic behind this was two-pronged. The first reason that they may have chosen to do this many meals is because of the belief that eating smaller, more frequent meals helps keep your metabolism revving. We myth busted this in our Science of Metabolism video that I'll link somewhere up here or down below, where we got into the nitty-gritty of the science behind metabolism, calorie needs, how these vary between you and me, all that jazz. The other reason behind this might be that smaller, more frequent meals are actually easier to digest. They put less stress on your system, which can help reduce bloating, and that can be very helpful for something like bodybuilding, where you're constantly evaluating your physique and how different things impact it. Since stopping bodybuilding, I've experimented with a whole bunch of different meal frequencies, doing the standard 3 meal a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, trying intermittent fasting. I even did the 1 meal a day OMAD diet for a little bit. Now I land somewhere in between. Most days I try to make time for 2 larger meals. Then I'll have smaller snacks around my running and weightlifting workouts to ensure I have the energy to fuel my intensity and allow for recovery. Meal 6 and final meal of the day, we have got a busy bulldog, 3/4 cups of egg whites, and 10 almonds, which honestly seems kind of random. This kind of feels like that meal too, where we had like egg whites and asparagus. And considering that egg white scramble or omelet, I mean, it was disgusting. I'm gonna try to turn this into a pancake. So I'm gonna grind down the almonds, whip those into the egg whites, try to get a little air in there, a little bit of fluffiness, add in some cinnamon, maybe some stevia, I don't know. Then top it off with cancer syrup. I wouldn't quite call this a pancake, but it doesn't look half bad, and it smells a whole lot better than that egg white scramble we made earlier. So I'm gonna shake up our cancer sauce. We're gonna put some of this on top. I know I've been joking about Walden Farms syrup throughout this video. I know I'm putting a generous amount. I'll probably have more, but it's because it has a consistency that doesn't make sense for 0 calories. I haven't had this syrup in years, so first bite, let's see how it goes. It tastes like maple syrup on the first taste as you're chewing, but then as it leaves your mouth, you get kind of this funny aftertaste, kind of that cleaning product taste, kind of chemically. That is it for today's video. I have to say, I wasn't as hungry as I thought I would be. I'm definitely feeling fatigued. To be honest, my body was good to be done after that first run this morning. It was so hot, so humid, so sweaty, but I'm sure I'd start to get hungry if I stuck with this consistently. I'm sure the monotony of the meal plan would definitely start to get to me. But before we wrap up for today's video, I did want to give you a little more insight into this period of my life because I haven't talked about it much. It was 3 and a bit years of my fitness journey that has
has just kind of been this void that I haven't talked about online, and I have a lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts on it. So to give you some context, I started weightlifting. I found the world of bodybuilding in my first year of university when I first started studying engineering. Obviously, starting university was a big change of environment, but that was the least of my struggles at that point. With so many things that felt like they were outside of my control, I really just wanted something that I could immerse myself in, that I could jump into head first. I wanted to go to an extreme because I wanted to feel like there was some part of my life that I could control, that, you know, if I worked hard enough at it, that I could make some sort of forward progress. Bodybuilding was all of that and some. Yes, bodybuilding is extreme, but it was extreme in a way that really helped me. It gave me an escape. It allowed me to live kind of a double life. You know, there was this life that wasn't really working out so well for me, but when I was lifting weights, when I was in the bodybuilding community, when I went to posing seminars, when I went to competitions, when I was like standing butt naked in like a tanning stall and getting tanned by this lady who was just happy to be around me. It was like, it was so nice and it was so different from what I was experiencing at the time. Of course, I had my frustrations here or there, you know, when you don't get the place and you wanted a competition, or maybe like your hair gets frizzy, you know, silly little things, right? But I truly mean it when I say bodybuilding was one of the most positive parts of my fitness journey. The community was amazing. They were some of the kindest, most hardworking people I've ever met at competitions. Flash forward 3 and a bit years down the road, I'd worked with several different coaches. I'd had pretty positive experiences with all of them. I'd been through several cycles of bulking and cutting, gaining and losing, refining and optimizing my physique. I truly felt like on a couple occasions I did achieve my best physique for, you know, the muscle I had and the body I had at that point. When I stopped bodybuilding, it wasn't because I hated it. It wasn't because it messed up my metabolism or messed up my body or did anything bad to me. Bodybuilding really was there for me and was an incredible outlet for me at the time. When I stopped, my last competition season, the season that we were kind of recreating in today's video, everything around bodybuilding in my life kind of fell apart. Those issues that had felt out of control when I first got into bodybuilding, you know, they'd been progressing along. As these things do, things don't always get better. As much as bodybuilding brought me joy for those 3 and a bit years, gave me purpose beyond just getting my engineering degree, I realize now it was a bit of a band-aid solution for problems I wasn't dealing with. I was on a downward spiral, mentally, physically. My health in every regard was not doing well, and it was not bodybuilding's fault. It was completely just my own doing. There is so much work that I've done on myself since stopping bodybuilding that I know wouldn't have been possible had I just thrown myself back in and used that as a band-aid to cover up all these problems. I'm making myself sound like a basket case. I kind of was. Okay, you know what? We'll be honest. If I could close this video with one thing, I would say the journey is worth it. No matter what you feel like you are up against right now, it is worth continuing to show up for yourself. Do the hard work. Stop putting band-aids over things that you know are no longer serving you. Break that cycle and hold yourself to a higher standard, because if you hold yourself to that higher standard, I promise that better life is out there, that better mindset, the better mental health, the better physical health, all of that is there for you. You just have to keep showing up for yourself until you get there. All right. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.